Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Write or Die Show. I'm your host, Randi-lee. On the show, we interview other writers and we talk about mental health from their personal journeys. If you have not already hit that like and subscribe button, go ahead, do that now so that you never miss an episode. So today with us, we have Brandon Hargraves. How are you?
Doing real good. Yeah, great morning.
Excellent. Wonderful to hear. And where are you visiting us from?
I am in Puyallup, Washington, right there in the Pacific Northwest.
All right. I have never heard of there.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit north of Tacoma, kind of in between Tacoma and Seattle,
Okay,
right there in
very nice,
the
very nice.
heart of downtown.
Excellent. Um, and tell us a little bit about who is Brandon.
Well, I'm actually a youth pastor. Me and my wife have been doing that for about 5 years now. And we've been involved in church really our whole lives, but we just love reaching the community. We love helping people. That's kind of how I've started getting to the conversation of like mental health and stuff is right now. That's what our
Oh,
our youth are really dealing with.
yes.
Um, so having that conversation not only with people that can do something about it, but also with the youth. Is something really big to us. But we have a 1 year old son. We love him to death. I apologize if you hear him crying in the background. He is growing 8 teeth right now. So
Oh my
um,
gosh, the poor
yeah, he is a
guy.
little bit
He's
he's having a
allowed.
hard time. Yeah.
He is allowed.
Yeah, his face
Yeah.
hurts just a little bit, but
You got those frozen teethers?
oh yeah, the stuff you put the frozen blueberries in it
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just have a good time.
Yep.
Yeah.
My
Oh yeah.
grandson loved those. And Frozen 2. He used
Hmm.
the only way that he would calm down while he was teething was he'd have his frozen thing and he'd have to be in his, either in his stroller or being held. But you can only stand and hold them for so long before you're like, oh, my back
Yeah.
hurts. So rocking back and forth while watching Frozen 2.
Oh yeah.
It was
So
just,
he hasn't discovered movies yet, so
yeah.
we're still waiting for that shoe to drop.
Yeah. I think it was more the music in it.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't think he actually could see it. But yeah, just the music of it all.
Yeah.
Ways. So we kind of already bridged that gap to mental health, youth have some issues with it, but adults have some issues with it. And what
Absolutely.
issues are we going to talk about today?
Well, I personally have struggled a lot with depression.
Okay.
Just that idea of just keeping your spirits up,
Mm,
and
hmm.
sometimes just not feeling like you're able to. Like
Yeah.
there's that there you want to be happy, but there's that um, just kind of wall in your mind that just
Yeah,
keeps you from being there. No matter how much you try. And there's some people that don't struggle with it. They don't understand that. It's like
exactly.
I want to. Like you
Yeah.
don't I want to do that. I just can't. Like
Yeah.
my body and my mind is not allowing me to feel the way that you want me to feel and the way that I want me to feel right now. So yeah,
I
that's
love
the
the
one that
way
I've
that
dealt
you
with.
I love the way you put that because it's very hard to describe it to people.
Hmm.
And my mom used to always say, "Oh, just fake it till you make it." Uh, I can fake it. Doesn't mean I'm gonna make it,
Yeah.
right? So I like that. I want to. I would love to join you in this happy circle right now, but I just can't. I want to get
Hmm.
there. So, um, start your story wherever makes the most sense and with however much detail obviously you're willing to share. And then we'll see how maybe you got guided somehow to some happy place.
Yeah. So I grew up in church, like I said, most of my life. Went to a church with my family that we ended up during my parents' divorce. We stopped going, and it kind of affected us a little bit. But all that to say is like I grew up with kind of those American Christian ideals and views. Not necessarily biblical views, but American Christian views, which are very different things. Um, on how, like you were even saying, like fake it till you make it. Like if there was a lot of people that I'm not sure it's still this way today. I'm sure there's some people, but that were just saying like if you struggle with depression, then you actually don't know Jesus.
Oh my
So
gosh. Okay, I'm
exactly.
interjecting here. So
Yeah.
the the church that I went to growing up, like the youth group, and I went for years and years and years. No one ever directly said that.
Hmm.
And the youth pastor that we had at one point, um, did do a couple, like I won't call them sermons because in youth group it's not so much a sermon as a conversation,
Yeah.
around mental health, and I think he did a really good job of it. He did not make me feel poorly, but there definitely was that um, nuance with more
Hmm.
older people in the church, I would say, um, but mostly not. Like this church was fairly good, I'm gonna say. Now I've been to a few others over the years because obviously I've moved and that vibe isn't there. So, la- was it last summer or the summer before? Anyways, one of them. That church that I went to growing up, it closed because all of us youth that were there, we didn't stay and sustain it. We all,
Yeah.
traveled and moved and whatever. So they ended up having to close the door. So I went back for the last service. And during our little luncheon thing, they said, here's a little open mic. You can say your goodbyes kind of thing. And somebody had went up and I can't remember exactly what they said, but they said something along the lines of how, what you said, that mental health and
Yeah.
church kind of thing. So I went up and had my two sons. And I said, so some of you, and I didn't go up directly right after that person. There was a couple in between. Um, but my heart was like racing, like I have to say something. And so I went up. I said, so some might believe that when you have depression, that you don't believe in God or whatever. And I go, that's just not true. and then I went on to say, like going to youth group, and I've written this in a bunch of my books.
Yeah.
It literally saved my life. Like it was one of the
Hmm.
reasons that I never went through with the plan of hurting myself, like I had
Yeah.
done. Um, but I very much had to make that point that day, and I don't know why, but I was very much stirred to go up there and be like, actually, guys.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so I just when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, flashback moment here,
Right.
and had to share. So sorry for taking over there for a hot second, but I think it's such an important part is that
Yeah.
there, if you have tried a church and that church has given you really bad vibes around mental health, you can go try a different one.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
exactly. Make sure
church
that
is just
they're
the building.
exactly, exactly. Make sure that they're um teaching correctly and all that kind of stuff because there's some weird churches out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but make sure that they're also feeding you life. Like if they're
Yes.
making you feel shame rather than conviction, then that's a red flag. Shame is not the enemy that at least my God uses. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, and even as soon as I say it, you having that story just like even solidifies like it's a huge thing. Like
Yeah.
American church, they believe like yes, Jesus is joy, which I wholeheartedly believe. And they say if Jesus is joy and you struggle with depression, then you must not know Jesus. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, wait a second. But I grew up with that. So I was like, that was, well, it might not have ever been said explicitly, like you said, it might not have ever been spoken from a pulpit. It was kind
Yep.
of this undertow understanding that everyone had, um,
Exactly.
especially with mental health. Um, we even hear about churches today that's like in the same vein, we don't go see doctors
Yeah.
because our God is a healer. Well, I believe wholeheartedly that our God is a healer and can, in a moment, in a miraculous moment, heal someone. I believe that.
Yeah.
But does that mean that he can't heal someone through a medical professional?
He's the one that gave us the brains to figure out the things that we figured out.
Exactly. He put that calling on their life so that they went through 8 years plus of school so that they could help you. And you're telling me that wasn't got like all that to say, I feel like the church has come a long way.
Yes.
But growing up, that's what I was growing up with. Was it was kind of that stigma of
Hmm.
if you were struggling up here, and it's not from like trauma, because I feel like trauma had a completely different
It
rep
did.
in the
Yeah.
church, then that's a you issue that is like a problem. So I kind of buried it,
Hmm.
um, which we all know is the healthiest thing you can do.
Oh,
Um,
totally. I just went and talked to my therapist about how I love doing it. And she told me not
exactly.
to.
Yeah. Yeah, because when you bury things, it always turns out good. Um, so I did that for so long. And it was actually during COVID, when I was at home with my wife. It was just us two. And I was trying to work, trying to like do all these things in the church, trying to get our online presence up. And I was just like more than ever, I was struggling.
Yeah.
Um, and she ended up coming to me and she's like, you are not the person that like in certain times, you are not the person that I married. Like there are just times where it's just like it's so bad and you're
Wow.
so negative. And it's like it wasn't a shameful thing, it was an eye-opening thing.
Yeah, I was like,
Um,
I care about you and I'm noticing. So
exactly.
please hear what I'm saying.
And it wasn't even like a you need to do something. It was a I want to help you get the
Hmm.
help that's needed. So rather than the message I had heard all growing up of you need to figure it out, otherwise your salvation is going to be affected, it was someone that loved me more than anything,
Hmm.
putting a mirror in my face and saying, this is not the person you want to be, and help is possible. Let me help you get there.
Yeah.
Let me walk this journey with you.
Hmm.
Um, and that's actually where I started writing books because of that, because I just feel like that's where like people just need those practical steps of how to
Hmm.
get the help that they need. I started to go to a doctor. I started taking the medicine that I needed to actually, because there was actually, I was diagnosed with it. So there was
Hmm.
actually chemicals in my mind that
Yeah.
wasn't letting me, it just wasn't letting me feel the way that I wanted to feel. And ever since I started taking the it's safe medicine. It's not addictive medicine. It's nothing like that. But
Hmm.
like obviously you have to be careful with
Oh,
substances.
of course,
Um,
always.
but it helped.
Yeah.
And now I'm in a place where I'm just like I'm healthier mentally than I've ever been. Obviously there's days like
Oh,
some
of
days
course.
suck. Like
Yeah,
whether
and
someone struggles
everybody's
with
gonna have
depression or
sucky
not.
days. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Um,
w- I'm the same way. So I take my antidepressants every day and huge difference. And I go to therapy and I went to therapy before when I wasn't on them. I go to therapy now and I am on them. And I can tell the difference in what I'm absorbing and able to actually use and follow with what she's saying. Because before the medication, she could tell me, we're working on a lot of um stuck points and like, hey, is this based on a fact or is this based on your feeling? Because my feelings are liars. Mine specifically.
yes.
And beforehand, I could hear what she's saying, but it didn't matter what she said because my feelings were so strongly negative that it didn't matter. So by taking the medication, I was able to really get the most out of therapy too.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can actually hear people now, instead of
Right?
taking it personally and those feelings clouding your
Yeah.
judgment of how the world works.
Right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. The world right now, it tries to tell you follow your heart. Well, I don't know about most people, but I know my heart's a liar.
Right?
so
Exactly.
so
Actually, we were just talking about the disconnect of my mind to my heart because
mhm,
so on that same kind of, thing that I was saying, we were talking about the stuck points, and she would say, okay, well, how believable is this now? And before it'd be like 100% believable because I'm a horrible person. We do a bunch of work on it. And then she goes, okay, well, how believable is it now? I go, well, I would love to say it's zero, but I pay you a lot of money, so I'm not gonna lie. It's still like 20% believable. It's still there, it's still nagging me.
yeah,
And she goes, because there's a disconnect, right?
hmm
Because the feelings are a big fat liar. My heart is a liar sometimes, even though my brain knows that that's not true.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the importance of having someone else around too, because
Yeah.
they can see it from a different perspective.
Yeah. And that's what I
Um,
tell him. Like, well, this is why I pay you the big bucks.
yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm lucky enough um, to have a wife that I don't have to pay to have those conversations with me.
I love my husband, but I'm gonna go to the therapist.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. There's certain things that okay, I'll talk to him, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so now continue with your story. So you started taking medication, notice that it made a big difference, and then kind of where are you going from there?
Yeah, so now I'm in a place where I'm just continuing to find ways to um, get healthier and healthier
Okay, like what?
because I ways like just certain things that I do throughout the day, things that I know that I get stuck on that I need to start trying to limit, avoid, or um, kind of be intentional about how I handle them,
Okay.
or learning the things that do help me get through that barrier of um, depression versus like actual having joy throughout the day. Um, for example, if I'm having a hard day and I'm just like, I just can't, like every person that I talk to, I'm frustrated with, and I know it's not them because it's like it's just how I'm feeling right now, and there's
Yeah.
something that's just eating at my mind that I can't get over. I've learned now, having the help to of the medicine and the people around me and getting there, that with music, and specifically for me, worship music, um, it helps me get past it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have been able to do that prior because I just wasn't in a place where I could actually process it.
Okay.
But now that I'm in a place where I can actually think through it and process, well, I know how I'm feeling right now isn't good.
Yes.
Um, and now I can figure out, well, what are these easy tools for me specifically? It might not be for everyone, but for me specifically, that help me get through it.
Yeah.
Music's one of them. I like listening to comedy just because it's happy, it makes me laugh. Obviously it depends on the comedy. Some comedy is very like negative, and
Like,
that's
whoa.
not the stuff
Yes.
that I need. um, but just think really
I have a
simple
great
things like
joke for you. I hope you think it's a great joke too. Okay.
that.
This is my favorite. Why can't a T-Rex clap?
Why is that?
Because it's dead.
Oh my gosh.
It is my favorite joke of all time.
Yeah, I am a dad, so dad jokes resonate with me. I've been telling dad jokes since way before I was a dad. So
Let's practice,
oh
right?
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, they're
oh
they're
yeah,
my favorite.
love it.
Yeah. So you can use that.
I'll use it tonight. I don't know.
Yes. It's pretty
Yeah,
good. Um,
that's
and
awesome.
I think music plays a huge um role for a lot of people. That coping strategy or technique, whatever the heck you want to call it, has
hmm
come up a lot for people on the
Yeah.
show. Music is huge, and everybody has their own um, thing that works for them. So you were saying worship
hmm
music. I've had somebody say had to have no words at all.
hmm
So and I know my kid totally weird music about the head banging super loud and like earphones and like I'm like, oh my
Oh
gosh,
yeah.
I think my head might explode. It's so loud. But that helps calm him down. So I
hmm
think that's a really big one for people and finding which one
Yeah.
works. And I think it really does depend on mood because there's certain times that I'm like needing to listen to a certain kind of music. And then there's other times that I'm just like, I'll listen to whatever comes on.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So, before I ask my final question, is there any other part of the story that you feel that you need to share that might help the listeners?
I think the biggest thing, it might not even be specifically just with my current story, but just to help listeners. Like if you're struggling with something, find that help, talk to someone.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's it's crazy how many people are more than okay to get a physical checkup at a doctor for their physical body. And it's not even because they're sick. It's just because you're supposed to yearly have a doctor look at you to make sure that everything's working the way it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to your mental health, it's a stigma to go see someone who knows what they're talking about and knows whether or not things are working the way they're supposed to. Um,
Yes.
so I would just say it's like whether if you just feel like there's something off or anything, talk to someone. Even if you don't, I think therapy and counseling isn't just for people who are struggling, it is for every person.
Yes.
Um, because we are people, we are human, and we need it. We need um, the world right now, especially with social media at our fingertips and the entire world in the palm of our hands. It's too much for us. It's there's so much. Um, so talking to someone and getting the help that you need is not shameful. It is not. It's not a bad thing. It is actually a very good thing. I believe wholeheartedly it is a sign of strength. It is a sign of determination, and it's a sign of health. So I just want to encourage anyone, whether you're struggling or not, see someone, talk to someone, um, get the help that's needed. And because health and happiness isn't out of reach just because we haven't felt it in a while. It is possible.
I love that. And that kind of answers my last question that I was going to say. So now I'm not going to ask it. Um, no, that's good. That's good. I got shivers. The health and happiness is not out of reach. I am stealing that saying and I'm going to put it on a t-shirt. Um,
I'll buy it.
Perfect. I love it. I was actually looking to try and get a new design into the merch store. And I really like that. So I think I'm gonna steal it. So sorry
That's
or thank you,
great.
whichever one you want.
Let me know when you do, and I'll absolutely, I'll support it. I'll get a couple.
Excellent. And the great thing is you're not just supporting the show, but 20 is it 20 or 10? I can't even remember what I used to say. Anyways, a portion of the proceeds goes back to mental health. So
Awesome.
yeah,
So
it's a
cool.
double good. Actually triple good because you get a cool shirt too. Oh, it's a
So
s-
many good things.
so many. My head's gonna explode. Um, so what have you written?
I am currently a fantasy writer, so I know sometimes when I say I'm a pastor, when I say that, people are like, "Oh, you write some of those self-help books?" Like, no, I grew up with those self-help books. I know that they reach a very certain and particular grouping of people,
Mm-hmm.
um, and in my experience, the people that need help aren't picking up those books.
Oh, you've
The
just ruined
people that,
my whole thing. Those are the books I write. I'm just kidding. It's okay.
oh, I've got an entire bookshelf back here full of those books. So I'm not saying that they're not helpful by any means. I love
But
those
I
kinds of books, but I
totally
know
know
that
what you're saying. Yeah, I do.
yeah, there's a very certain grouping of people that aren't picking up those books that do still need the help. So I was just
Yes.
trying to put it in a way that like, how can I give them the help that they need? Um,
Yeah.
in a
No,
way
that's
that's easily
fabulous.
accessible.
Yeah. And I
So I
think a
started
lot
writing
more
fantasy.
I think a lot more authors are starting to kind of do that because so I do book reviews. And I've read a few books where you can really see the undertone of mental health and how they're dealing with it without,
Yeah,
coming out and
absolutely.
spitting it in your face like I do.
Hmm. Exactly.
Right? And so I love them. So the book
Hmm.
that's popping into my mind right now that I just read not too long ago, Queen of Madness, which is the second in a series. And very much
Hmm.
there is the mental health aspect there. And it's not, right in your face, but it is right in your face. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's there, but it's
Mhm.
not the main
Yeah,
storyline. So, and
yeah,
that one's a fantasy
for
book too.
sure.
So it's definitely really good. So what is your book called?
Yeah. The first book I wrote is called Reflection, and the sequel I just released in January. It's called Insurrection. It's about a girl who loses her family and now is struggling very much with identity, depression, and trauma,
Oh, that's
um,
awesome.
while also
And
just going through a
is
fantasy
the
story.
that is the one that's going to be on Reader's Intrigue, the first chapter, very shortly.
Yeah. Yep.
So, everybody, if you have not already started following us on Reader's Intrigue, which is another one of my podcasts, where authors read the first chapter of their book, and a lot of the times the authors are from this show. So, if you were like, "Oh, that guy was super cool," go check out Reader's Intrigue. See if they've got an episode up. Brandon's isn't up yet, but it is in the queue to go up. Um, yeah, make sure that you follow both because there's some very, especially if you're like, oh, that book sounds interesting. Well, you can get the first chapter for free, read from the author. Do it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because you just sent that, or I don't know if you just sent it today, but I just checked my emails today, so
Yeah.
I just noticed it
See,
today.
I think I said it yesterday, but
Oh, there you go.
yeah.
So yeah, everybody check out Reader's Intrigue for Brandon's book Insurrection. He'll be reading the first chapter. Um, and if you ever want to throw the other first chapter on there, you are more than welcome to send another recording.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
where do people get their hands on them?
So right now, both books are actually sold online anywhere you can find books. Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, the Target's got it.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
you can online really go anywhere. If you're there's very specific places that have it in person. I think there's like 10 or 11. But online you can find it anywhere. Physical hard copy or also ebook.
Nice.
And it also just released on Audible. So if you are more into that,
I love audiobooks.
if you're more into the audiobook, you can go find that on Audible. Just look up Brandon Hargraves and it'll be right there.
Damn it, I just used my Audible credits yesterday and then canceled my membership. Simply because I have so many in my queue to listen to that I'm like, I don't want to pay another
Hmm.
membership fee until I've listened to what I have. 'Cause it's so easy just to sign back up. Um,
Well, I
if
do
you want a
have a
book
couple
review,
review copies if you
I was gonna say you want a review. Um, I love Audible because when I walk my dog, sometimes I don't want to listen to the same playlist over and over. So it's a great time to listen to that. Or even, and my husband thinks I'm crazy, but I like to listen to it when I'm working out.
Hmm.
Um, because for me, it keeps me not going crazy intense because I can't do that anymore. So it keeps me within the realm of what I should be doing. Um, and it's interesting. It keeps me kind of focused.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Yeah, I love listening to books while I'm doing chores,
Right?
driving,
Yes.
just doing things around for work. I'll pop in a headphone and listen to some Brandon Sanderson. I don't know.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
Um, Wonderful. And so do you have where do people follow you?
Oh, I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I don't currently have a TikTok. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I am. I'm not cool enough for that.
I think you're
um,
cool enough for that. If I am cool enough for that, anybody is cool
so we're working on it, working on kind of the social media presence.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I am on Instagram and Facebook. You can follow, I think it's Brandon.Hargraves,
Okay,
because
awesome.
people have lots of names.
Right.
But yeah, mostly Instagram and Facebook is where I do all my stuff. So you can find out everything there, and
Excellent.
all the
Yeah,
all the
and
links are in the description, that my descriptions. So
perfect. Yeah, Brandon's kind of a common name. I don't know how common Hargraves is, but like when I was younger, I used to hate my name because it was so unique. And or if you heard Randy, it was always a boy, right? Randi-lee was like unheard of. And now I'm like, thanks, Mom, because nobody else has my name.
Yeah,
Even the few
that
Randys,
wasn't my
like,
story.
yeah, even the few Randys with an I, like girl Randys that I've met, they're not usually Randi-lee. So I'm
Hmm.
still just me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so do you have any last words that you wanna share before we say goodbye?
I don't think so. I think everything was pretty much covered.
Right? I
Yeah,
know.
just
We're very efficient.
love love talking about it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. You were a lot of fun to talk to, so perhaps you should come back one day.
Absolutely.
And
Thank
it
you for
sounds
having
like
me.
I
It's
say
been a
that
lot
to
of fun.
everyone. Bye.
For sure. Awesome.
As always, thank you so much for the amazing guests that we have on the show. Be sure to check out their links down in the description below. If you want to support the channel, go ahead and check out our merch store. We've got some very cool things on there. That's my favorite. Sorry, I'm busy ending the stigma. But there's some other very cool designs. 10% of the proceeds always goes back to the Canadian Mental Health Association. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at RB Media because we have some great new shows coming up and you never want to miss any of those episodes. And remember, the only way to end the stigma of mental health is to speak openly and honestly. Bye.